43 signatures force an extraordinary Congress. 106 votes end a FIFA presidency. UEFA alone has 55. On the 1st of August, 2026, European football told Gianni Infantino to resign or face a vote of no confidence. Behind it, a $20 billion plan to sell off part of the World Cup's commercial future, abandoned within days. This video is about the mechanism, not the noise, the actual rule that can remove a FIFA president. Europe can start this process without anyone's permission. It cannot finish it alone. Where the remaining votes land decides who runs world football. Start with what actually happened on Saturday, the 1st of August. The Telegraph's Tom Morgan reported that UEFA had informed Infantino directly, resign voluntarily, or Europe moves a vote of no confidence. UEFA's public statement stopped short of the word resign. It did not stop short of anything else. Quote, "The current FIFA leadership has not only lost UEFA's confidence, but also that of many other members of the football family." Read that slowly. It is a formal declaration of lost confidence from the confederation that supplies world football's richest clubs and players. And that phrase, "many other members," is doing deliberate work. It is a claim about votes UEFA believes it already has. Then came the indictment of the deal itself. The shabby, backroom, opaque deal he hatched and tried to force through was anything but transparent. And on the money. With reserves standing at over $5 billion, he has also failed to use association's money for the benefit of the game. CONCACAF followed with a declaration of its own, two confederations on the same day saying the same thing. But here is the nuance most coverage skipped. As of that weekend, UEFA had filed nothing. No formal request had been submitted. The threat was real. The trigger had not been pulled. Hold that gap. Everything else depends on it. To understand Saturday's ultimatum, go back 4 days. Tuesday, the 28th of July, FIFA unveiled something called FIFA Forward Enterprise. FFE would be a new subsidiary holding FIFA's commercial and operational rights. Broadcast, sponsorship, ticketing, licensing, for the World Cup and for every other FIFA competition. The valuation attached to it, around $20 billion. FIFA wanted to raise up to $4.2 billion by selling a stake in it. Reporting suggested up to 20%. The cornerstone investor was Thrive Capital, the private investment firm run by Joshua Kushner, younger brother of Jared Kushner, who is married to Ivanka Trump. A source close to Thrive denied Donald Trump had any involvement. JP Morgan was working the deal as strategic partner. Apollo Sports Capital was circling too. And member associations were offered money to say yes, $20 million immediately for signing on by the 19th of September. Development funding would rise from $8 million to $20 million per cycle regardless, with a further $20 million for backers paid out of the investment. Infantino insisted nobody was being forced into anything. His words, "It's part of a democratic process, a consultation process, and above all, it is an opportunity but not an obligation." And a reassurance aimed straight at supporters, the sport they watch and love will not change. Europe read the same plan and saw something else entirely. We cannot keep going on like this with secret schemes on fast-track timescales, cooked up by faceless individuals and of dubious benefit to the game. Shabby, backroom, opaque. And then UEFA said the thing that mattered. Europe would boycott FIFA competitions. That is the leverage in one sentence. A World Cup without Europe's teams is not a $20 billion asset. It is not close. Friday, the 31st of July, FIFA folded, conceding the project had created divisions that were no longer in the interest of the objective set out in the first place. The plan was dead, which left the harder question. The one UEFA's statement was really about, can a FIFA president actually be removed? The answer isn't in a press release. It's in the FIFA statutes, in a clause almost nobody outside the building had bothered to read. Article 25. Article 25 covers the extraordinary Congress, and it does something unusual inside FIFA. It takes the decision away from the president. Ordinarily, the FIFA Council decides when Congress meets. Under Article 25, the Council is obliged to convene one, if the membership demands it in writing. Obliged, not invited. The threshold is 1/5 of FIFA's member associations. FIFA has 211 members. 1/5 of 211 is 43. 43 written requests, and the Council has no discretion left. The Congress is called, and it's called with the agenda the requesters put on it. The statutes even set the clock. The Congress has to be held within 3 months of that request landing. 43 signatures don't remove anybody. They do something narrower, and right now more dangerous. They force every association into the same room. Now put UEFA's number beside it. European football has 55 member associations. 43 is the threshold. 55 is what Europe has before. It makes a single phone call. No CONCACAF, no Africa, no Asia, no South America, no Oceania. UEFA can trigger an extraordinary Congress entirely from inside its own membership. That's what makes this different from every FIFA crisis of the last decade. Before, the pressure came from prosecutors, sponsors, and newspapers. From outside the tent, this time, it comes with a procedure attached, and the procedure belongs to the people applying it. One honest caveat, because it matters. As of the 2nd of August, UEFA had not actually filed that request. A declaration of lost confidence is a statement. An Article 25 request is a mechanism. Europe has made the first while holding the second. The threat is real. The trigger hasn't been pulled. Because pulling it only gets you into the room. Winning the room is a different number altogether. Removing a FIFA president takes a simple majority of the membership. Out of 211, that is 106, 55 to start it, 106 to finish it. Everything happening right now lives in the gap between those two numbers. 51 more votes, and they are not in Europe. Here's the rest of the electorate. Africa, 54 members. Asia, 46. CONCACAF, 35. Oceania, 11. South America, 10. Add it up, and you get 211. That is the whole of world football. One association, one vote, which is the system Infantino built his presidency on. Every association equal, and the smallest ones funded from the center. CONCACAF has already moved. The confederation hosting this World Cup also declared it had lost confidence in FIFA's leadership. But a declaration is not a ballot, and Africa is the bloc that settles this. 54 votes, almost exactly Europe's weight, and the firmest ground Infantino has ever stood on. Then there's the quiet category that decides close votes, the associations that show up and do nothing. An abstention isn't a vote against removal, but it isn't one of the 106 either. In a vote this tight, silence works for the incumbent. Which is why almost none of this fight is happening in public. It's phone calls, hotel lobbies, and the funding conversations FIFA politics has always run on. And it would be a mistake to date all this to a private equity deal in late July. On the 2nd of August, The Guardian reported that FIFA's own council was in open revolt, not the confederations, the council, the people who sit in the room with him. Reporting also made clear the sequence. The discontent came first, the commercial plan came after. Much of it traced back to something far smaller. During the World Cup, the forward Folarin Balogun was suspended, and then the suspension was lifted. The complaint inside the council was never really about the player. It was that a disciplinary decision had allegedly moved under political pressure. On its own, one lifted ban is a footnote. Inside a council already uneasy about how decisions were being made, it became evidence of something bigger. Then, on the 2nd of August, reporting supplied the last thing any leadership challenge needs: a candidate. Because nobody votes a president out into an empty chair. So where does this actually stand? Infantino has absorbed pressure before. Investigations, ethics, complaints, congresses that were supposed to be his last. He is still there, and 106 is a long way from 55. But for the first time, the side doing the pushing doesn't need anyone's permission to start. 43 signatures force the room. Europe has 55, where the other 51 votes go, decides who runs world football. We'll keep following this one as the votes move. If you want the rest of football stories told this way,